Every time a story comes out about bias against conservatives on social media, you'll get some left-wing outlet claiming it doesn't exist, which is the most insane thing to me. You know, on my main channel, I talked about this, but look, there are numerous examples on record of social media companies being biased against conservatives. One of the recent stories, Vice News covered that, did a story on the fact that Twitter wasn't auto-populating certain Republicans, but their left-wing counterparts. Okay, that is a bias against certain conservatives. But Twitter said, no, it was a mistake. Okay, we fixed it. Okay, maybe. Then you had Candace Owens getting banned for, emulating Sarah Jong, but that's okay. There are numerous instances of individuals, like who's Cassie Dillon, I think her name is. She copied Leslie James's tweet verbatim, and got a suspension, and Twitter had to apologize. So they make all these mistakes. Then we have Twitter employees secretly recorded saying they banned people with Trump in their accounts. This was from Project Veritas. We have Facebook on the record saying that they regularly removed conservative news and they had to deal with it. This happens all the time. We know it happens. We now have a video, okay? I'm gonna make fun of Buzzfeed in a second, but we have this video from Google. Google leaked video could fuel Trump charges of anti-conservative bias. It is a video where they like one woman's crying basically, okay? Yes, they're absolutely biased against the right. They have far left views. It's actually rather worrisome if you're to ask me because Google is so powerful. But what I love is how BuzzFeed, they like to layer things into their stories, which clearly shows they are targeting the far left. And it annoys me so much. You know, I have people saying they ask me all the time, Tim, are you conservative yet? And I'm like, no, that'll never happen, okay? I have principles and I have my own beliefs. The problem is, this right here from BuzzFeed is nonsensical, jargonish bullshit meant to target fringe people who don't actually do any research. It's the most annoying thing in the world. What really bothers me, look, are there right-wing sites that put out bullshit? Of course there are, but we've known this. The left has called out right-wing biased sites forever. We know that they exist, okay? But the left acts like they're not lying to you, and that's what bothers me. I don't watch Fox News. I don't read Breitbart. I don't go to a lot of these websites. So they're not really in my field of view because I go to left-wing sites. But as someone who is a social liberal, when I read this stuff, I get really fucking angry when these people are so bad at their jobs. They're either lying to you or they're just really, really bad at what they do. The footage will likely add fuel to conservative arguments that Silicon Valley is a raid against the right. And look what he does. Okay, first, let me read the beginning. A video published on Wednesday of a Google all-hands meeting in the days following the 2016 presidential election shows the company's senior leadership, including co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin, CEO Sundar Pichai, and CFO Ruth Porat, reckoning with Donald Trump's shocking win and its reverberations around the world. Yes, they were very upset. I believe it was Ruth Porat who began crying. Okay, that's an extreme emotional response, someone getting elected. They said, in the video, Google's executives speculate about what motivated Trump voters, the role companies like Google played in informing voters about the election, and the possible consequences of Trump's win. We have no idea what direction this country will take. It's a period of great uncertainty, especially for immigrants and minorities and women, Brin told Google employees. Brin noted, as an immigrant and a refugee, I certainly find this election deeply offensive, and I know many of you do too. All right. Google responded, so I don't want to read their statement, but they basically said that it was just personal opinions of people at a hands-on meeting. And I do want to point out that one of the women said that at least half of Google employees will be upset by this, making a reference, pointing out that a decent amount of Google employees probably are conservative too. I really doubt that though, but I think I understand. So here's what they say. That explanation will do little to quiet conservative arguments that tech companies are part of an international liberal order that is deeply opposed to the rise in right-wing nationalist populism exemplified by the American president. You see what they do here? And this is why I absolutely fucking hate people like this. I hate it, okay? What I hate more than anything is liars, people who lie. I understand sometimes, not all lies are bad. It's true. There's some information even I can't reveal because I have sources and people give me information in confidence, and I try to respect the rights of individuals, okay? The information I can't give out. But lying, most of the time, is a bad thing. In fact, I am typically of the opinion, if you come up to me and you're wearing, some foofy outfit and say, how does it look? If I think it's bad, I'll say, I don't think it looks good. If you're gaining weight and you say, how do I look? I'll say you're gaining weight. Because that's the kind of person I am, right? And I imagine a lot of people who watch my channel probably understand that about me. I don't think I'm doing anyone any favors by withholding or lying to them. If I see somebody and they got spinach in their teeth, I'm gonna be like, hey, you got spinach in your teeth. They got a booger hanging out, I'm gonna say, hey, you got a booger hanging out. A lot of people won't do that, okay? So it's really annoying to me when they make up this ridiculously insane conspiracy that like 10 people probably believe. No, there's not an international liberal order that is deeply opposed to the rise in right-wing national populism. There is just a bubble, a filter bubble. And Google's known about the filter bubble for a very long time. And people have begged them to do something about it. But they don't care, because the goal of these companies is to feed you what you want so you stay on their platforms longer and they can sell more ads. Plain and simple. Okay, see what he does, well they do, there's two writers here. What they do when they frame the story this way is anybody who doesn't actually do research is going to believe that's actually what conservatives think. And that's what happens. And then people go insane. And look, I typically believe, and I could be wrong, and this is probably deeply offensive to many people on the left, but I believe that most of the people on the left don't actually pay attention to anything, okay? I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but what I mean to say is most of my friends who are on the left get their news from word of mouth. They don't go to CNN.com, okay? My high-profile friends in California who are posting all day about social justice, they don't go to CNN.com. They don't go to Buzzfeed. They get it from their friends on Facebook. They hear it in passing at a bar. They hear it in passing on Twitter, okay? They'll see a headline on Twitter. People on YouTube are those who are actively seeking new videos and seeking some kind of, oh, get out of here. They're actively seeking information on the internet. And that means they've seen a story and they want more. And here's what's unfortunate. A lot of people, because of that, think they're conservative because so many conservatives find alternative news. That's not the case. A lot of people took these political compass tests that came out as centrists. But what do you think happens when you lie like this? When you make this false framing as if people actually think that's what's going on. Let me explain to you what's going on. You've got people who run massive companies in Silicon Valley. They are far left. They're not part of a cabal. They're just of that political persuasion and surrounded by others who are. So they believe the sane, rational people, their closest personal friends and family, they think these beliefs are what is good and just. And therefore, when they hear something else, they think that is wrong. I had a guy who, I kid you not, is almost as far left as you can go. Probably not. This is a person who is like a democratic socialist, and they told me they were a centrist. And I said, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And they were like, dude, I'm a centrist, you're right wing, and people like Cassandra Fairbanks are far right. And I was like, oh my God. Cassandra Fairbanks, Trump supporter, Gateway Pundit writer, is actually a like hardcore centrist. Okay? She'll call herself conservative, but she took the test. And she's like smack in the middle, a little to the right. And they look at me and think I'm right wing. I'm like, dude, I'm center left. Okay, you have to understand, there's extreme right, like laissez-faire capitalism, competitive markets, and extreme left communist, okay? And you're like 1 degree away from communist. You are far left, but they think they're in the center. And what they do is, the goal here, in my opinion, I think they're trying to be funny. Like, I don't think this guy's intentionally like, I'm gonna lie to people. I think he's like, hey, like there's some international liberal conspiracy. But what ends up happening is, there are people who will see the headline, and they'll click it and go, I know, right? It's not happening. How many stories have to come out, okay? It's really funny because Facebook got busted for this. They were removing conservative websites because the liberal employees at Facebook didn't think it was real news, that Fox News is fake, get rid of it. So they get rid of it and switched it for an AI, and the AI started pumping out actual fake news because it couldn't tell the difference. It was in the Facebook trending section. Literally happened. James O'Keefe has recordings from Twitter employees flat out saying they do this. But look, this is not the only example. It's just one that I brought up, but that's what they do. Like it's like this guy doesn't. Does Joseph Bernstein and Samantha Altman like not have Google? I can't understand how you can't Google search bias and then look at the story like recordings of Twitter employees being like, yeah, we just like try and get rid of accounts that say Trump and MAGA and stuff. And then you have Facebook. Gizmodo wrote about this. Okay, Gizmodo's part of the Gawker companies. It's the Gizmodo Media Network now. But they even wrote that a Facebook employee on the record said it's true. They censor conservative news. And now they're acting like it doesn't happen. You have a video leak of a Google hands-on meeting with the people who founded the company, the highest ranking individuals, complaining about Trump. And you think that's not going to affect how Google functions? Oh, sure. Like, Google Documents isn't going to censor a conservative. No, but search results might. What about when Twitter bans the phrase illegal alien even though it's a legal term? I want to make one more point before I sign off, because I saw this story from July in the week. Google is not an American company. Google is an American company, but he's making a point. He makes an interesting point. He says that Google is more than anything else a logo and a marketing label. It is also a subsidiary of a holding company called XXVI, which is in turn a subsidiary of Alphabet, a corporation that is also an umbrella for a number of other venture capital and research entities. For another 2 years until the deadline imposed by an Irish court expires in 2020, Google or Alphabet or the money machine or whatever you want to call it will continue to steal from the rest of us by means of two accounting schemes known as the Irish double and the Dutch sandwich. Long story short, I don't want to get too into this. He's making a point about how Google, although they are headquartered in Mountain View, they run funds through Ireland and through the Netherlands and then to the Bahamas. It's a massive tax avoidance scheme. Google is a company that is not paying its taxes. It is using international tax avoidance schemes so that they don't got to pay their fair share in this country. Where is the left complaining about that, please? They were for a long time. Where are they now? Google is effectively internally far left, as we've seen, tech company with immense sway over the American population and communication that is siphoning money through foreign countries to avoid paying taxes. And I think, if you were to ask me, allow me to be hyperbolic, if you're a company that's going to siphon your profits through foreign entities, that's un-American. All right, you want to operate in this country and you want to have your headquarters in California, pay your goddamn taxes. Because if you don't, as far as I'm concerned, you're a foreign entity. And then if you start engaging in biased, platform or whatever, if you want to have biased ads or search results, I'm not saying Google specifically does, but we can see that the company is far left. We can see what happens with James Damore. If that's the case, then I consider it all to be election meddling. Again, I know I'm being hyperbolic, but the point is, I don't like the fact that Google is siphoning money through tax avoidance schemes, is extremely biased to an authoritarian degree. It's troublesome. It's worrisome. And it's funny because people at Google like they love me. They've given me free stuff. I had like 4 pairs of Google Glass. They once sent me a free iPod. So this is not a dig at any of my friends and the people I know who work at Google who are very nice to me. This is a problem of the core structure of Google and the problem we face in this country with bias, and how you've got media companies like Buzzfeed acting like it's some insane conspiracy theory, when in reality, it's just regular people who are in... Look, somebody banned Donald Trump on Twitter, okay? Like, if you've got the nerve to delete the president's Twitter account, okay, you've got a bias problem. End of story. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the main channel at 4.